Ladies and gentlemen, how do?
Hello all you lovely people. Today's story is titled The Great North Sea Oil Heist, How Shell Cleared Billions and Left You with the Bill. It's an economic piece on corporate tax policy and North Sea licensing. Here I am in London while a multinational oil conglomerate that makes more money than God pays zero tax and gets a check back from His Majesty's Revenue and Customs. That's not a policy decision. That's just highway robbery. Let's look at how the media portrays this, shall we? The UK government faces renewed scrutiny today over its North Sea energy policy following reports that the oil giant Shell posted profits of $9.84 billion, £7.37 billion for the April to June period, up from $4.26 billion at the same point last year. This came during the ongoing cost of living crisis. Despite these eye-watering earnings, official filings show that Shell paid no net UK corporation tax on its North Sea operations, and in fact received a tax rebate of £12.4 million from HMRC. With energy bills remaining at historic highs for British households, ministers are defending plans to grant new drilling licenses, arguing it supports domestic energy security. Are they taking the absolute piss? Energy security, tax rebates. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. We are in the middle of a cost of living crisis, so severe that pensioners were sitting on buses all day just to stay warm. Things called warm banks were opening up, just unreal. Millions of households are choosing between heating their homes and feeding their kids. My last electricity bill looked like a telephone number from Tokyo. And right in the middle of this widespread, misery-inducing economic collapse, Shell, a company that extracts our natural resources from Scottish waters, posts global profits running into billions of pounds. And how much tax did they pay to the UK Treasury for drilling in the North Sea? Nothing, nada, zip, zero, zilch. Sweet Fanny Adams, in fact, it's worse than that. They didn't just pay £0, a big fat nothing. HMRC handed them a rebate. We the taxpayers paid them £12.4 million. UK government gave a multi-billion pound oil titan a tip. For what? For being nice enough to drill the Scottish seabed, sell that gas back to the UK at international market prices, and leave us with the carbon footprint. Next, rebate fraud. How does this happen? How do you make billions in profit and end up getting a check from the tax office? Because of the rules. The tax system in this country wasn't written by lawmakers. It was written by oil lobbyists on the back of a napkin over a £300 lunch in Mayfair. Do you know why Shell got £12.4 million back from the UK government? Decommissioning relief, that's right. When these massive fossil fuel companies build giant metal platforms in the North Sea, extract billions of barrels of oil for 50 years, and make astronomical fortunes, when the well dries up, and it's time to clean up their own rubbish, we the taxpayers pay for it. Westminster gives them tax write-offs for taking down the rigs they used to make themselves filthy fucking rich. It's like hiring a builder to renovate your house, paying him 50 grand, and then when he drops a tin of paint on your carpet, you give him another tenner for the inconvenience of having to wipe his boots. The energy security myth. And what does the government say when you point out how utterly psychotic this is? They stand up in the House of Commons, adjust their Savile Row suits, look you dead in the eye, and say, but we need to open up brand new oil and gas fields in the North Sea for domestic energy security. Domestic energy security. Old chap, let's dismantle that utter lie right now, shall we? When a company like Shell or BP drills oil out of the North Sea, who owns that oil? Not the people of Scotland, even though it's right on their doorstep. Does it go into a giant British reserve to make gas cheaper for your granny in Glasgow? No, it belongs to Shell. They take it out of Scottish waters, put it on the international wholesale market. and sell it to the highest bidder. If a buyer in Rotterdam or Tokyo offers a penny more per barrel, that's where it goes. If Scottish consumers want that gas, they have to buy it back at the exact same inflated global market price as everyone else. Opening new North Sea oil fields doesn't lower anyone's energy bills by a single pittance, doesn't secure our energy as the likes of Dubai Dicky and Reform UK plc would have you believe. The only thing it secures is the dividend payout for Shell's shareholders and the future boardroom seats for the politicians who approved the licenses. The environment. We are subsidizing our own destruction. Not just that they aren't paying tax that boils my piss. It's that we are actively paying them to drill. Under the government's investment allowance rules, every pound an oil company spends drilling new fossil fuel fields in the North Sea, they get vast chunks of it written off against their tax liabilities. So, let me get this straight in my head, because my brain is melting through my ears. The taxpayer are struggling to pay your mortgage, your food bill, and your heating. The government freezes your tax thresholds, dragging you into higher tax brackets so you pay more income tax. The government then takes your tax money and gives it as investment allowances and decommissioning rebates to a corporation making record profits. The corporation uses that public money to drill more oil out of the ground. They sell that oil back to you at hyper-inflated prices. And as an added bonus, the carbon emissions cook the planet so fast that summer in London recently feels like standing directly behind a jet engine. It's a protection racket. We are literally subsidizing our own financial bankruptcy and environmental destruction. The Norway comparison. And do you know what the most depressing part is? It doesn't have to be like this. Look across the water at Norway. Just across the North Sea, Norway has the same oil, the same water, the same weather. Do you know what Norway did? They taxed the oil companies at 78%. They said, it's our natural resource. Do you want to extract it? Pay up. And what did Norway do with that tax money? They built a sovereign wealth fund worth over $1.6 trillion. They have enough money saved up to give every single Norwegian citizen over £250,000. How's that for a Brucey bonus? Their schools are funded, their hospitals work, their infrastructure is world class. What did the UK government do with the North Sea oil bonanza? George Osborne and a succession of chancellors gave tax cuts to multinationals, scrapped the revenue levies, and left us with potholed roads, failing hospitals, riverways full of raw shit, and a nice little tax rebate for Shell. Norway built a generational wealth vault for its citizens. The UK government ran a car boot sale for corporate executives. Accountability is dead. Yes, that's right, accountability is deader than Elvis. Nobody is held accountable. Politicians stand at the podium and tell us we're making the tough choices to fix the economy. We are making the tough choices, they say. Raising taxes on nurses and teachers while giving a £12.4 million HMRC refund to an oil giant making billions isn't a tough choice. It's not an economic strategy. It's corporate welfare. Socialism for the filthy rich. It's state-sanctioned pickpocketing. If I can't pay my council tax, the government sends bailiffs to my door. If Shell extracts billions of pounds worth of public resources, they get a handwritten thank you note and a tax rebate check with a pat on the back. Let's hear how the government and the Treasury justify robbing us all blind. A spokesperson for the Treasury said the government remains committed to supporting the North Sea sector to safeguard jobs and transition toward a net zero future. Shell maintained that it complies fully with all applicable tax laws in every jurisdiction where it operates. My direct debit for gas just bounced while I was making this video. Where's my £12 million tax refund? Fuck it, I'm going to the pub. I was going to make the YouTube thumbnail of me holding up my latest gas bill and me looking shocked. But I don't need to look shocked, because I am living in a state of permanent, unmitigated horror. Well, folks, if you enjoyed this video, then not only are you lovely people, but you also have great taste, and you should also subscribe to the Two Davies for news and politics from a very Scottish perspective, and that rantastic Mr. McGuinness. Cue growling cat.